Well, what is going on, Agape City? It is Thursday, which means it's Love Day. This is the day that we open up the Bible, and we're looking for that word love in the English, but it's agape in Greek. And what agape is a very specific type of love, love that is unconditional, love that is unearned. This is the type of love that God has for us, and the type of love that God calls us to have for one another. Now, today, the verse I have for you is a verse that might sound very familiar to a lot of you. In fact, if you've ever been to a wedding, I'm going to guess you've heard this verse. Now, here's the deal. I love doing weddings. If you go on my social media, my Facebook or my Instagram, you'll see just all these wedding selfies that I take with the bride and groom after I perform these ceremonies. But here's the thing. The reason I love doing weddings is not for the selfie. The reason I love doing weddings is because this is one of the purest forms of agape in this world. That two people who are not blood related would choose to unconditionally love one another, to accept each other as they are, and to cover their faults with each other's love. And I love blessing those moments and asking God just to hold this love for the rest of these two people's lives. And so that's why I love doing weddings. But this verse comes up in almost every wedding. But I want to show you that this verse is actually not about weddings. This verse is about what any Christ follower should do in their daily life when it comes to showing love. Now, to fully understand that verse, we got to start before what you normally hear at a wedding. In fact, you need to be aware of what happens the chapter before this. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, the Apostle Paul is talking about all these spiritual gifts, like speaking in tongues and prophecy and knowledge and wisdom and these type of things. And here's what's interesting to me. Today, in the year 2022, there's a lot of Christ followers who goes after those special gifts, right? They long for prophecy, or they long for the ability to speak in tongues, or these type of things. But notice what Paul's going to say at the end of chapter 12. He's going to say this. The very last line, verse 31, says, "Now eagerly desire the greater gifts." He's saying, like, prophecy is great and tongues is great, but there's a gift that if you only got one spiritual gift, there's a greater one to go after. And then we pick it up in chapter 13. This is what it says. "And yet I will show you the most excellent way." Again, understand that this spiritual gift is the most excellent spiritual gift. This goes above and beyond. It covers all the angles of this, of what it is to follow God and to love God. So he's like, I will show you the most excellent way. And this is what he says. "If I speak in tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and yet I have faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, then I am nothing. If I give all that I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing." Paul says, if you have all this stuff, but you're not a loving person, then you're not like Christ, and you're missing the mark. I used to wait tables all through high school and college, and one of the old adages that we would say to one another as servers when people came in on a date night, that if a person was rude to the server but nice to the person that they were dating, then they were probably a rude person. And I think what Paul is saying here is like, hey, if you have these gifts but you don't have love, then you're an unloving person, and that is a dangerous place to be. And so then he goes on and says, so have love. And how do you know what love is? Well, then he goes on with the rest of the chapter, and you can read it yourself there. He says, you'll know it because love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It kind of describes what love is, what agape is. So let me encourage us today, this Thursday, how can you not just be kind to people, not just say, I like the people around me, how can we grow in patience and kindness and gentleness? How can we grow in showing love? Because that is the greatest gift that the Holy Spirit wants to bring forth in our lives. And that is the fruit that we as followers of Christ should show to this world.